This is a new file I'm going to share with you there, Max Spears, because it's something that you relayed last night about sensors and the void and all that. But I'll give you an example. When I grew up with my mother, for example, you know what it is to have manners. And I noticed that Wally over at Navajo Traditions talked about honor and respect for others. And even a guy who was a former gangster talked about honor and respect towards others, right? So one of the things that I remember that was a great spiritual practice when you're in the presence of others to not only acknowledge them, because I experience what love is in my heart, but how we treat others by virtue of how we communicate the nature of who we are, which is the spiritual form and flow of our energy, which is natural, right? So I'm doing this because of what I just experienced, but I experience it a lot, and I experienced it a lot more from the time I was a little boy in the 1950s. And that had to do with what we call manner, behavioral manners. And manners of communication relate to what? Sound and light burn patterns of consciousness-directed energy. How we communicate with all the others. We're all connected with each other because there isn't any separation from the God Force unity wave of pure, eternal, absolute love. So what happened is I went around the corner in order to pick up some facial tissue, right? But there was a cart that was sitting there in the way that was preventing, because the aisle was very narrow, for two other people that were standing there for me to be able to get there as it relates to a timing factor, which is a firing order sequence of a future file that's in a future memory. Okay, so I moved the cart so I could go forward and grab what I did, and two more people wanted to come through. As I moved the cart so that person could get through, it becomes conspicuous by its absence that there was no, if you will, acknowledgement of taking the time and energy to assist them out of the love and compassion that you have for them that allows their spirit to freely flow, so they're not being distracted or prevented from moving forward. See how that works? So what I began to notice over time-based vectors, between one cycle and the next, from one year to the next, there were less and less people that I began having a relationship with, which is a reaction, which is based on the communication of nervous systems that were less sensitive. Less sensitive, less sensitive, less sensitive, less sensitive towards others. Because it's driven by self-service, and not love and service to others, if you will, because they're not acknowledging that you're using your time and energy to assist them, and then not acknowledge the use of your energy in that manner, which is the sound and light burn pattern of that communication. That's how you know one from the other, is mapping the field, which is mapping the consciousness field, which is based on what? Codes and the filing systems that people are running. So we're mapping the files, which is mapping the codes, which is unlocking the keys to the files, which are the codes, which is the fire letter sequences of frequency and vibration. So this is just a file that I'm sharing based on what I just experienced. That is a new file, right, of what I experienced through all the others. The others we're learning through. The direction we're all going in as a spiral, a crystal river spiral, the silver and gold mated ruche, to experience pure, eternal, absolute love as the organic filing system. God's master key, unlock all the files. Now we know.